Okay, you guys, are you ready? So, today's notes. Surface area number 2. What is, use your hands somehow to show what a surface is. Yep. Okay, fair enough. Yes, fair enough. Good. Okay, now, harder. Use your hands to make some sort of gesture of what area is in geometry. I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that. What's area in geometry? I feel like you could fake me on this. You know, you could do like some gesture and I'd be like, okay, maybe. Okay, so area is harder, you guys. Area is back to this idea of 3 dimensions, right? What is shape in geometry is 1 dimension?
Line.
A line. What shape in geometry is 2 dimensions?
Square.
A square.
Rectangle.
Rectangle.
Triangle.
Triangle.
Like any shape.
Hexagon. Trapezoid.
Circle.
Parallelogram. All the shapes in geometry that we deal with are 2-dimensional until you jump to the 3-dimensional world. Name some shapes that are 3-dimensional now.
Cylinder.
Cylinder, cube.
Rectangular prism.
Rectangular prism. Good.
Triangular prism.
And triangular prism. Very good. Okay, so you've got the idea of surface and you've got the idea of area. So what happens in a 3D shape? Here's a 3D shape. This one is called, like you said, a triangular prism. Here it is here. So 3 dimensions. So surface area is only 2 dimensions. To find out what this is, you have to sort of unwrap it and then measure all the areas of those shapes, right? So if you unwrap the triangular prism, you get something that looks like this. A panel, which is a rectangle. A panel, which is a rectangle. Another panel. And imagine folding those sides up, and now it makes a triangle. You okay with this? You want to close in the ends. So up here is a triangle, and down here is a triangle. Fair enough? So when you fold up the sides, now you can fold in the triangles and it makes a complete triangular prism. Something like this, okay? Right? So now if I can measure areas, I've got, okay, what's the area of this? Well, there's an area here, right? There's an area here, an area here, and those are all rectangles. So it's just length times width, or height times width, or whatever the 2 dimensions are. A triangle area is 1/2 base times height. So if I can figure out those, I can take 2 triangles at 1/2 base times height and 3 rectangles at length times width and go 3 times the rectangle area, 2 times the triangle area, add them all together, and I've got the surface area. You okay with this? Okay, so interestingly enough though, you can actually do this a little bit quicker way. You could look at the perimeter of this thing and say perimeter times the height, right? This is h. So the perimeter is here, here, because doesn't that unwrap into this whole dimension? The perimeter of this thing unwraps and the height is here. So I could find this whole area all at once and kind of cut a corner with that. I don't have to do the 3 panels individually. I can take the whole length times width of the whole rectangle and just do this area and add to it 2 times the triangle, right? So that's one way. Another way is when we're looking at what's the word oblique mean?
Slanted or skewed.
Slanted, yeah, or?
Skewed.
Or skewed. Very good, thank you guys, that's good. Yeah, and remember how it's spelled. If I said to you oblique, right? You see why I'm saying that? Oblique. Right? That's the way it's spelled to me. I always think in terms of how it's spelled, and then the way it's really pronounced is oblique. All right, so oblique is interesting. If we take that Dorito shape, right, and we go slanted with this, kind of like that. It's not perfect, but you get the idea. In fact, if I'd gone a little bit further, it might be more accurate, because this makes a line, this makes a line, and now we have a height. What kind of height is this?
the altitude?
Yes, and yes, it's a perpendicular height because we're at 90 degrees. And also, if you're talking about, remember, here's my helicopter. Right? The altitude. Altitude is a perpendicular height. You don't want to measure altitude at an angle. That would be a distance from you. The altitude is the perpendicular height 90 degrees to the ground. Right? So that's my little helicopter. And there's got to be, here's the pilot up there. Okay. So when you're doing surface area of an oblique shape, again, it's easier to take the perimeter and unwrap it, right? But we're multiplying by the perpendicular height, not the slant height or anything like that. All right, so that's a pretty quick presentation of surface area of a triangular prism.